West Point has gone to woke hell. Gavin Newsom makes his Senate pick, and we're in the middle of a geopolitical earthquake. Stay tuned, everybody. Hey, for the best meat you have ever eaten, check out samsbutchershop.com. Go and shop around. When you go to checkout, enter the promo code Triple T for a 5% discount. Check it out. Hello, everybody. Trailer Trash Tim here. How's your mom and them? Welcome to the show, and a happy Monday to you all. I hope you all are doing well. Let's get right to it. Let's start with this. West Point is a legendary institution in America, and some of our most famous military leaders and even presidents are graduates of West Point. But there was an article that appeared the other day in Campus Reform that I've been wanting to reference. I just hadn't been able to get to it. There's so much going on. But the title of it is Stick a Fork in West Point. They're done. Wait until you see the new degree they're offering. This is just... There are times when you almost run out of words, folks, I'll tell you. Well, West Point has had a good run, they write, didn't it? Once a beacon of prestige and elite training, this institution produced some of America's most outstanding leaders, but times have changed. Today, West Point is just another woke joke, churning out young Marxists with contempt for the very nation they're supposedly preparing to defend. West Point has reached the point of no return, particularly after the exposure of their latest woke agenda. Believe it or not, they're now offering degrees, get this, in equity and diversity, and unfortunately this is not a joke. Now, I won't read the whole thing, but this is information gleaned from West Point's own website. They're offering a diversity and inclusion studies minor. The DISM, states West Point, helps fulfill the superintendent's and dean's vision for diversity and inclusion at West Point. Moreover, the DISM at West Point offers cadets a framework for critically and creatively thinking about the broader impact of diversity and inclusion at the individual, organizational, societal, and/or global levels. It also provides our cadets opportunities to pursue diversity and inclusion in intra, multi, and interdisciplinary ways. If this is not the biggest pile of left-wing communist gobbledygook, horse you know what, that I've ever heard, I don't know what is. They offer a 5-course minor. Listen to a few, I'll just list 3 of the classes you can take. Social inequality, power indifference, and the politics of race, gender, and sexuality. This is West Point, folks, okay? This is not Berkeley. This is not Cal Berkeley. This is West Point, where our finest military leaders have gone for training. Listen to this partial list of West Point graduates. General Lee, salute. General Grant, Stonewall Jackson went to West Point. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin. General Norman Schwarzkopf went to West Point. General Westmoreland went to West Point. General MacArthur, President Eisenhower, General George Patton went to West Point. Omar Bradley, General Custer, George Custer went to West Point. Can you imagine General Patton sitting through a class at West Point on diversity and inclusion? Can you imagine that? I think he'd probably stand up and kick his instructor's teeth down his throat. Is probably what General Patton would have done. West Point, can you believe it? Now, I've stated before, and you know, I'll full disclosure, I got this from the late Rush Limbaugh, who said that the purpose of a military is to kill people and break things, and he was right about that. Of course, you shouldn't be using a military unless your own land is attacked, which, of course, ours is not. We just use ours, you know, all over the world, regardless of need. But when a military is needed and when military force is needed, you want your finest, you want your baddest, to be fighting for you. Can you imagine? I've seen the shot of this class, all female from West Point, all, shall we say, people of color, all taking the diversity and inclusion class, don't you know? Yes, sir, buddy, we are just educating young, killing fighting machines at West Point. No, instead, we're just puking out a crop of limp-wristed Marxists who are more concerned about diversity and inclusion than they are how to deal with hand-to-hand combat, or how to... Are there any classes left at West Point on marksmanship, on combat training, on infantry training? Does that still exist, or are we just more worried about whether or not we've upset somebody's feelings? It's just outrageous. West Point, folks, can you imagine how the enemies of the United States, the legion of them, can you imagine how they're laughing at us now? Look at they're looking at websites like this, and they're finding out about what's going on at West Point. They've got to be laughing their asses off. This is our enemy? You know, look at China, look at Russia, look at India, look at anybody who might want to do us harm. Look at any nation, any potential enemy of America. When they go to size us up, they find out that our military leaders are in college learning diversity and inclusion. You got to be kidding me. This is our enemy? The phrase, the emperor has no clothes, come to mind. It's just unbelievable the depths we have sunk to in the United States. We are naked. We are just pumping out a generation of communists to lead us into battle. This is not going to go well, folks, I'm telling you. All right, let me move on. I want to get to... Let me get to Gavin Newsom real quick. Gavin Newsom, of course, the governor of California. Let me have a sip of coffee. Do you mind? Gavin Newsom, of course, is the governor of California. It has fallen to him to appoint someone to fulfill the unexpired term of the late Senator Dianne Feinstein, who assumed room temperature on Saturday at the age of 90. Now, I was thinking that he might appoint Congressman Barbara Lee to this seat, but he did not. But here's who he did appoint to the seat. Gavin Newsom appointed a woman by the name, I'd never heard of this woman. Her name is LaFonza Butler. Now, I'll get back to LaFonza Butler here in just a moment. But let's talk for a second about how Gavin Newsom arrived at the crucial point of when he made his decision of who the next senator from California was going to be. Now, we already know that he had announced that the next senator from California was going to be a black woman. These are his words. It is going to be a black woman. He vowed to appoint a black woman to fill Di-Fi's seat. And, of course, he did that. And that's why I was thinking, a lot of people were thinking, that it was going to be Barbara Lee. But no, he did not pick Barbara Lee. He picked someone out of left field, emphasis on the word left, another little Marxist, another little communist that he's appointed to fill the seat, named LaFonza Butler. Let me tell you a little bit about LaFonza Butler. Here's what we know about her so far. As of the year 2022, LaFonza Butler was a resident of the state of Maryland. If you want to consult a map, you will see that Maryland is a fairly long way from California. To be completely accurate, it's on the other coast. California's west coast, Maryland is east coast. This woman was not even, I guess he's a woman, was not even a resident of the state of California as of 2022. And this was also borne out on her Twitter/X profile, which showed that she was from Maryland. But guess what? Last night was Sunday. Last night, she somehow scrubbed that little factoid from her Twitter page or her X page. She doesn't want you to know she's actually from California. So Gavin Newsom appointed someone who isn't a resident of California to be a senator from California. All right, that's one thing. LaFonza Butler is also the president, or at least was, I assume she still is, of something called Emily's List. What is Emily's List, you ask? Well, thank you for asking. Emily's List is an organization that exists for the sole purpose, according to their own website, of electing Democratic pro-choice women to office. That's what Emily's List is all about. If you are a woman and you are pro-abortion, Emily's List wants to help you get elected to office. That's what they're all about. So that's LaFonza Butler's little organization. She also worked on the Kamala Harris campaign, her most recent campaign as well. Let's see what else we can find about her. We know she's black, and also, this is the icing on the cake. LaFonza Butler is also a lesbian, so she checks all the boxes. So I want you to think about this for a moment. The governor of California is tasked with appointing the most qualified person he can find to the United States Senate. Pretty important job, right? Now, I just said that's the task at hand, in theory, to appoint the most qualified person he can possibly find to the United States Senate. Now, I don't think anybody who is logical would ever come to the conclusion that the most qualified person would be somebody named LaFonza Butler. But here's what I do know. Gavin Newsom looked at the following metrics before making his choice. He said, before I make this choice, this person has got to be a woman. This woman has got to be black. She's got to be a lesbian. She's got to be pro-abortion. As long as you meet these metrics, then we'll choose from that pile. This is unbelievably irresponsible and just downright evil, because he says you got to be black, a woman, a lesbian, and from this list, and pro-abortion, and after we get that settled, we'll pick from what's left in that list. Now, I don't throw the word racism around very, very much, because I believe that the word is so overused and so misunderstood. So many people use the word racism who don't know what it means. But this is at least profiling, would you not say? Before making his choice, Newsom says it's got to be a black, it's got to be a woman, got to be pro-abortion, it's got to be a lesbian, and then I'll make my choice. Well, is that not profiling? Is that not racism? If it was the other side of the coin, it would certainly be racism. Did you not consider any white men, Governor Newsom? Did you not consider any white women, Governor Newsom? Did you not consider any conservative black woman or man, Governor Newsom? Did you not consider any Hispanic, Governor Newsom? Did you not consider any conservative for the seat, Governor Newsom? Of course not. Why? Because he's a Marxist, that's why. You know who would have been a great choice for Senate? Larry Elder. And hey, there's a bonus. He's a black man, but we can't have that. No. It's got to be a black woman who's a lesbian. She hits all the marks for Governor Newsom. It's pathetic. It's disgraceful, but we get another Marxist right back in the Senate. That's where we are. All right, let's move on. I want to get to this. Last week, there was a conference in Latin America. I don't remember exactly what nation it was in, but it was Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, appeared at this conference. It was a conference on international parliamentary the first ever international parliamentary conference. Russia and Latin America was the name of the conference. And Vladimir Putin went to speak to this conference, and he met with a lot of regional leaders, Latin America leaders, at this conference. During the openings, let me read from this. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Friday that Russia stands for Latin American countries to be strong, independent, and successful. During the opening ceremony of the first ever International Parliamentary Conference, Russia/Latin America, the president said that Moscow is willing to develop bilateral cooperation with Latin American nations that traditionally have a very similar vision of international relations and aspire to a multipolar world order. Quote from Putin, "We have advocated and are still advocating for Latin America to be strong, independent, and successful in its unity and diversity. To this end, we are poised to build cooperation both on the bilateral basis and during close work with integration associations of the Latin American region." The Russian president referred to the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, CELAC, the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, and the Southern Common Market. What's the long and short here? The long and short of it is this. Putin is coming into the Western Hemisphere, going to this Latin American conferences, and he's speaking to all these Latin American nations, and he's extending in his hand, and he's saying this, "You ready to do some business?" That's exactly what's going on. And I am maintaining, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a geopolitical earthquake happening in our world. There is certainly a new world order, however you want to look at it. Good thing, bad thing, you tell me. But I know this much. Things are changing in this world, folks. And the relationship that the United States has traditionally had and the alliances and allegiances that the United States has traditionally had with so many countries around the world is either ending or it's being threatened, because there are other powers in this world that are not taking the path of warmongering our way around the world like the United States is. And Putin is coming to Latin America, right on in our southern hemisphere. He's extending in his hand and he's saying, "Look, I'm not trying to bomb you. I want to do business with you." Putin is no idiot. Now, I want to add to this that this article up here, I'm not going to read the article, but I'm just going to tell you that there was an article that appeared last week in the Washington Examiner that goes along with this. The article was dealing with the sanctions that the West has placed on the nation of Russia because they won't play ball our way, right? But this article is pointing out the fact that there are many nations in the world, around the world, who are refusing to join the United States/NATO in placing sanctions on Russia. And this list is eye-opening. In other words, Russia doesn't do what NATO, which is the United States, Russia doesn't do what NATO tells it to do. So when you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to start slapping sanctions on you left and right until you behave and get in line and get out of Ukraine and do exactly what we tell you to do. Well, guess what? Some people go along with us. The UK goes along, Germany goes along, France goes along, but I want you to pay attention to who is not going along and nations who are not agreeing to place sanctions on Russia. This is an eye-popping, eye-opening article. Mexico says, no mas, no sanctions on Russia. Now, why would that be? Folks, I'll tell you why it would be, because so many of these nations that are backing off from the United States are realizing that there are opportunities available with nations like Russia insofar as trade. And it makes no sense to put sanctions on Russia because it could be to their economic benefit to do business with Putin. It's to our benefit too, but we have such hatred of Russia and Putin that we just can't do that. So Mexico has said, no, we don't think so. We're not going to go along with that. Serbia has said, no, we're not going to put sanctions on Russia. And the big one, China, no, we're not going along with sanctions. We're not going to put sanctions on Russia. India. Let me tell you something, folks. India is a player. India is a rising economic powerhouse in this world. And they're saying, no, we're not putting sanctions on Russia. We're not getting on board with NATO. We're not going to do what you tell us that you want us to do. The United Arab Emirates are not joining in with the sanctions. Get this. Israel says, no, Israeli leaders have stopped short of taking the kinds of aggressive steps to counter Russia that its Western allies have taken. They're saying, no, you shouldn't be invading Ukraine, but you know what? Even if you do, we're not going to put sanctions on you. And it goes on and on and on. The point of the matter is this. The United States is beginning to lose its stranglehold around the world. And it is doing, and it is losing its position, and it is losing its influence because of its, among other things, because of its perpetual warmongering and its perpetual expansion of its footprint around the world into places where it has not been welcomed. Hello, Libya, for example. Hello, Iraq. Hello, Iran. So many nations are saying, enough. Nobody elected you to be the world's policeman. So many nations are looking for economic opportunity. But, you know, we betray so many nations who we do business with. We break treaties, as we have done with Russia again and again and again. We don't keep our word. We topple regimes who don't play ball the way we think they should. And Putin is coming to Latin America, sticking his hand out and saying, hey, you want to do some business? And as a result, more and more nations are backing away from NATO and backing away from the United States. I mean, think about it. If you were the president or the king of a nation somewhere around the world and you were having to deal with Joe Biden, would you be so inclined? I wouldn't. That's what's going on here on a Monday morning. I got a couple of announcements for you. First of all, please remember to give me the thumbs up button down below. Subscribe to the channel as long as you are not an illegal alien, and as long as you do not wear a face mask. I invite you to subscribe to our growing community. Hey, if you missed a live stream I did yesterday, you can go back. It's down under the live tab. I'm probably going to start doing that. I'm thinking maybe once a week. If you did not see Saturday's video, a special presentation, go back and check that out. 'Twas the night before shutdown. My dreams were shattered. We didn't shut the government down, but there's always hope 45 days from now. That little playhouse, if you will, the little special presentation, that will probably be an added feature. And one more thing, tomorrow, Tuesday, October the 3rd, I am scheduled to appear on the Duran channel with Alex Christoforou and Alexander Mercouris. I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Alexander. As far as I know, that's happening in the morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I invite you to tune in for that. I don't know what's going to happen, but we shall see. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I really appreciate it. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Everybody have a great Monday, and I will see you tomorrow.